Good afternoon everybody, my name is Richard and this is a fantastic little Honda E. So I'm going to give you a little 10-minute review whilst it's charging up. Okay, so we're also filming what it's like to drive this car on a 300-mile day, and that's why we're here charging up. And it's also the hottest day of the year, which has seen us in over 40 degrees Celsius, which is literally a record here in the UK. So if you want to see a video about this car on a 300-mile daily trip with us, check out the other video. This is just going to be our review now that I've spent a day in this car. Before I get too far into it, I just want to give a shout to Horizon Honda down in Christchurch, our local Honda dealer. They're fantastic there. Thank you to them for lending us this car for the day. Do check out their socials, which we'll put in the description below, and do us a favour, if you give them a like, then it'll show appreciation for lending us this car and being able to do these videos. Okay, so we'll start at the back of the car because we're facing forward charging, but they kind of look quite similar, don't they? They've got these round LED lights front and back. So, but this is in charge yellow, very aptly named. I like the blue as well myself personally. So the Honda E has a 35.5 kilowatt hour battery, which about 28.5 is estimated to be usable capacity. So we've been doing range tests on this car today, and the real world range, I mean, it's been exceptionally hot today. The aircon's been going like the clappers, and we've been on motorways, which is really the least efficient place for this. It is primarily a city car, don't forget, and for local commuting, but it's got a range of about 100 miles. So we're still doing some calculations here now, but let's say about 100 miles. I think you could do more than that with slower speed and local commuting around town, but once you're on the motorway, you've got that wind resistance knocking you back a little bit. So you're getting about 100 miles between charges. And it's got a 50 kilowatt charging speed. So we'll check on the charging speed on this in a minute as it tops up. But let's have a look around it whilst we're here. So firstly, this is an advanced model and it's got the cameras all around. I think most of them are advanced now, so it's got an all-round camera system, which is pretty good. That seems to be standard. There's also a camera just under here and another camera here. Now, small car, what's the boot like? Well, enough room for a couple of charging cables and a few shopping bags. It's obviously not going to be massive. What have we got under here? Just some gubbins, not too much to speak of in the way of storage there. So a fairly small boot, likely in spec, but a few shopping bags would be fine. Parking sensors are standard. Now, I'm going to get in the back in a second, but let me make sure my driving seat is in my position. So in here, nice wide opening, really good access, and I love this interior. I'm going to come to that in a second. So I've got a really good position here. It's a manual seat adjustment. There's no lumbar, but we've got some height adjustment and then backrest adjustment here, whoops, which goes back really quickly. So you have to be careful adjusting that when you're driving. Lovely spacious foot area, big flat open floor here. So let's come on to that in a minute, but let's just check the rear space out as we work from the rear forward. So we've got a little door handle here. Right, do I fit in the back? Well, it's obviously a little bit tight, but I'm okay. I've got headroom. My knees are up a little bit. There is a nice flat floor all the way through, which is good to see. So, I could spend a little bit of time in here. It is quite a small opening, but it's a very small car, so it's okay. There's a nice little row of lights across the roof here. That's unusual. And then I can turn them on and off here with this little button, I presume. Probably not right now because the door's open. And I've got a USB port down here. In fact, I've got two USB ports down here. So for its size, I think it's actually quite good in the back. The back seat here is one big bench, and what it does do is fold down, but only in one piece. There's no split fold in rear seat. However, once it is folded, it actually is level with the boot space. So it gives a nice kind of smooth access point for putting something fairly boxy in here. It's a shame we just don't have split folding. And it's a 4-seater only because there's no centre rear seat belt in here. So before I open the driver's side, these do only have camera wing mirrors. You don't get any physical mirrors. Mirrors are a real drag, literally. So wind resistance caused by wing mirrors is very high, a lot of air turbulence. So this has got digital cameras, and the only other car I've driven with digital cameras is the fat e-tron, the e-tron 55. And on that, I got used to them, but I wasn't the most keen. However, with these, I would say that I think they're better than that. The actual screens are better positioned, they're nice and clear, even in really bright sunlight like today. So you still get to get used to them a little bit because you don't quite get the same sense of depth perception, but I think you do. I don't think they're too bad at all. So we've got pop-out door handles. So I think you can also just use your phone as a key, and then nice wide access to the front of the compartment here. And in here, like I say, it's nice spacious foot area, which is great. Flat floor, so you can even stretch out to the left there. So in here, they've got a very high specification. I mean, these cars don't come cheap. They're about £36,500 new, but you do get a very good specification. So I've got proper heated windscreen in here. I've got adaptive cruise control with lane keeping, and that all works very well, by the way. Heated steering wheel, heated seats. Couldn't think of anything worse for the day like today, but the air conditioning does work really well. So even in over 40 degrees Celsius a day, the cabin was cool. That was good. So yeah, I've got some heat, a height adjustment here, but I've got plenty of headroom here, no problem. I've got a glass roof. It doesn't open, but I've got a panoramic glass roof. I've kept that closed most of the day just to sort of minimize the heat into the cabin here. So multifunction steering wheel, and what's good to see is we've got the paddles on the steering wheel here for adjusting the regen, and you can drive this car with one pedal driving, and you can reduce or increase the regen from these paddles, and I like to see that on cars. I think that's great. Auto lights, which are LED of course, and then what I like as well is no start button, so foot on the brake with the key in the pocket starts the car. If I've got my key in the pocket, I can't start it because I'm charging. Good point. So I'll show you the dashboard in a minute. And then in here we've got a nice center console with your drive selector, park, reverse and drive, a little button to choose from the one pedal driving, and then you've got two drive modes, either sport or normal. There's no eco mode. I didn't find too much difference between them. Sport just kind of sharpens up the throttle response a little bit. And then down in the middle we've got some very useful cup holders in the center console. What I haven't found so far, and excuse me if I'm missing something here, but is a wireless phone charger. Now, in here underneath, we've even got a 3-pin 240 volt 1500 watt socket, which could be handy for charging laptops and stuff. There's also an HDMI input, so you could even plug in a computer console and play some stuff on the screen, I guess. And there's a couple of USB ports. Below that is a little pocket, which I found quite useful to put my phone in, but it doesn't seem to do wireless charging, which, to be honest, I kind of want it to do. But anyway, you know, let's move up. We've then got this very unique dashboard. It's got 5 screens in here. So I've got the 2 for the cameras, and then there's a selection of 3 screens in the middle. So you've got your main drive screen in front, and then you can configure the other 2 screens that go right across the dashboard here. So you can have your navigation on the far side, or your radio on the far side, navigation in the middle, and it works pretty well. I think they're nice screens. It's nice and easy to use once you get used to it. It's not quite intuitive in all senses. It took me a while, for example, to find the navigation to show how many miles it is until destination, but I found that option in the end, so that's there. That was just me being, user error. But it's a nice spacious cabin, and although the car is really dinky on the outside, it actually feels really spacious in here. Okay, so these are the screens you're presented with. So to adjust the wing mirrors is like any other car. I've got a little toggle here, and then the camera moves up and down on there. Like I say, I'm actually pretty good with them. They're fine. Now we're charging at the moment. I can see we've got 68%, but I can't see what charging speed we're pulling. Now the only way I can tell that, and again, am I missing something? Let me know if you've got a Honda E. Please do tell me where it would show your charging speed, because I do find that useful, because once you get to a certain point and your charge speed slows down, you know, you want to kind of move on and move off. This charger shows me the charging speed, and I can see we have slowed down. We were pulling 45, 48 kilowatts earlier, but at 68% battery, we're now pulling 21.8. So certainly by this percentage has slowed down. Now, Honda claim that once you get to the reserve light and go back to 80%, it takes 30 minutes. Now, we haven't had that today. It's taken longer than that, but we've had exceptionally high temperatures, and apparently the actual charging units have been getting hot, so they've been limiting charging speed. So that may be the cause of that. But I'll give you a quick kind of run through here. So it took me a while to get used to. Now, you can toggle between what's in what part of the display here. You can also bring up like a double screen here with kind of a load of window icons, which is kind of funky. So I quite like that. That's all good. And then in here, if you go down to all apps, you can then select various different things. So I could have my DAB radio here, and I could switch that over to the far side, and then maybe I've got my navigation here, for example. So once you get used to this, it works pretty well. The graphics are okay. It seems quite responsive. Navigation input, yeah, fine, no issues with that. It's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto integration, so again, you could run that through the system here. I really like this nice sleek minimal design. It's smart, it's well built, it feels solid. You've got proper air vent control, so that's nice and easy with a separate climate section down here. I like that, it's just nice and simple. And then you've got a pretty useful handy sized glove box in there. So it's just a nice place to be, and it just feels bigger than it is actually. On the motorway, it's very refined. I mean, what we've noticed with this car is it's really smooth actually. The suspension is very smooth. Again, it feels like a bigger car. It doesn't have a choppy ride like a lot of small cars tend to have. It's quite nippy. 0 to 30 is quite peppy. Not quite so staggering after that, but it's 0 to 60, something like 8.3 seconds, I think. I'll correct it here in text if I'm wrong. But it goes okay, and it cruises down the motorway rather nicely. And the what I call the autopilot system, the lane assist, cruise control, radar keep, that all works really nicely actually, so that's fine. So it's not as sharp to drive as a Mini. A Mini, if you push on around the corners, is a bit more rewarding, but this kind of then reaches its limit and you feel then the suspension is a softer suspension than the Mini. But it's a nice car. It is very smooth, and as I said, it just feels more mature and bigger than it is, so I'm actually really impressed. So these are actually staggered tyres. We've got 185/60 R16s on these front wheels, but 205s on the back. Rear wheel drive this car, so going to handle all that power. And this is where it plugs in. If it was pouring with rain and all this water's going in there, is that a good thing? Well, I'm sure they thought about it. Okay, so it's 77% battery. It's a hot day. A 77% battery, 21.8 kilowatts. In fact, that's enough to get home now. So let's stop charging. Let's have a look under the bonnet. Stop charging. Stop charging. Stop charging, yes. Yes.
2,000 years later.
Yes. Yes. Happy to stop charging. Okay, so that was a 30-minute top up, back up to 78%. Costing £8.71 from, I just had a few percent when I got here. I think it was 9% or something. Let's have a look under the front here. What have we got? No storage. You know, they could actually put a little tray. You could have a little tiny bit of cable storage here, but there's nothing to see under there. LED headlights are standard, and very good they are as well. Okay, so that's my little roundup of the Honda E here as I finish charging. It's a good little package. You know, it doesn't come cheap, but it's well specified, well made, and it drives really nicely. It has a very mature feel about it, so it's very comfortable. It doesn't drive like a little tiny car. It's not bouncy over bumps. On the motorway, it's quiet and refined, and it's quite nippy around town as well. The turning circle on it is ridiculous, so it can literally turn it on a sixpence. So for parking and manoeuvring, you probably can't get better than this. And the surround cameras are good. So it's all very good. It is just limited a bit by its range and a bit by its charging speed. So if you're going to do lots of long journeys, it's probably not the car for you. But actually, for your local driving, commute, school run and such like, I think it's a brilliant little package. And yeah, a really sort of cool little thing, isn't it? I really like it. So let me know what you think of the Honda E. Do you like these retro looks? Have you got one? What do you think of it? What's been your experience of that? Let us know in the comments below. But to everyone else, I think that's the call a wrap for this video. So I hope it's been useful, interesting, and as always, we'll see you in the next one. Hey everyone, thanks for watching our videos. If you like our content and want to see more, don't forget to not only subscribe, but also hit the bell icon for notifications so you don't miss any new videos as they're uploaded. Plus, we're also on Instagram. Just look up R Simons or RSEV. We're on Facebook and Twitter. So lots of news, stories, and things as we go on each one of those channels.